Hello, good morning, everybody. Just going to wait a few minutes to get everybody inside. Just waiting for Balraj from Surrey Neuroplasticity Clinic. Hello, good morning. Hope you're all enjoying a beautiful day today. We're in Vancouver and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous spring day. We've had some nice weather, although the rain is coming soon, unfortunately. Great, hello, nice to see you. Excellent. So I'm just gonna let them into the room here. Excellent. Here, Plasticity Clinic on. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Robert. Hi, Balraj.
Hey, Melanie, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Awesome. Yeah, the headphones were a good trick.
You know what? I'm going to do the same, actually, just so we've got some good audio today.
And I just want to apologize in advance. At some point in the next 45 minutes, we're supposed to be getting a delivery, and I have the dogs in the office with me. So if they start going off randomly, that's what it is.
Oh, that's fine. We're fine. We're on for 30 minutes anyway, so I think we're good.
Cool.
Yeah. Good to see you. We got a
You as
few
well.
joining and a few more coming, which is great. So hello to everybody. Well, why don't I go ahead? I'm just going to introduce myself and I'll let you introduce yourself, Balraj, and then we'll jump in. So I'm Melanie Rathbun. I'm the founder of Functional Vitality Health. So I'm a functional medicine health coach. And what does that mean? That means that I support clients through working through their health and wellness goals, ideally along with their practitioner, sometimes a functional medicine practitioner. So we work on all the foundations of functional medicine, being sleep and nutrition, exercise, movement, community, all of the things that feed into our wellness. And so, as you know, a big focus of my practice is longevity and living younger longer. So a big portion of living younger longer is our brain health. And so this is why I get so excited about what the Surrey Neuroplasticity Clinic is doing, because really I see a lot of the foundations of functional medicine within what they are doing with their clients as well. So today, super excited about our topic of Cog Camps that we're going to jump into today. We've had previous discussions on neurofeedback. We've talked about their Neuro technology in the past. So feel free to go back. They're on both of our pages, so you can take a look there. So Balraj, maybe I'll just pass it over to you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep it short and sweet. So I'm a
Sure.
kinesiologist by background, and work in head injury and trauma for a few years, and joined the Surrey Neuroplasticity Clinic as well as our entire organization called Health Tech Connects, in a more managerial role in helping develop it, build the brand, and most importantly, educate everyone on what exactly it is what we do, because we are unique in what we do. And you mentioned two features so far, which were neurocatch and neurofeedback, which
Mm-hmm.
personally I had never heard of either of them prior to joining
Yeah.
the organization. And so today's topic, the CogCamp program, again, it was developed in-house. We have expert clinicians, we have scientists and researchers, and we partner with others, for example, at the Mayo Clinic, that consult and give us their feedback. So yeah, this program is super exciting and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I have never heard of cog camps, at least, on the west coast of BC here. So it's pretty fascinating what you guys are doing. And, what I really love about it is the self-care portion of a cog camp right now. We'll get into more of the details of that. But I'm seeing a lot of stress right now. We're all feeling it,
Yeah.
and a lot of my clients are working professionals, and they're trying to keep all the balls in the air right now, and that's tough. Our brains can only sustain this for so long, and if we're flooding our brains with constant stress and that cortisol response, that fight or flight response, we just can't work at our best and just optimize our performance. So I really love that you've got, this 4-week plan where people can just take the time to really focus on themselves. They can still do life at the same time, but they can really work to achieve some of their goals if they're noticing a few things slipping. I think if they're, ready to put in a bit of work during that time, they're going to see the results. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And that's where, you mentioned it perfectly in that they can kind of work a little bit, one, on their own schedule, but more
Mm-hmm.
too that it's on their own time and at home. And that's really cool because the reason why we incorporate so much evidence-based technology is to allow people those freedoms. A lot of traditional ways of therapy or even optimization programs, they require you to come to the clinic for set amounts of time, and for a working professional, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a working professional, even if you're a stay-at-home parent, or if you're both,
Mm-hmm.
trying to carve out 3 hours to drive somewhere and come
Yeah.
home, it's 5 days a week. That's challenging. So our
Mm-hmm.
primary goal when developing this was we of course want it to be as evidence-based and um, effective as possible, but we're not going to develop this if we can't have the bulk of it be in the client's hands, because the people that we're targeting with this program, they're very busy, and they can't always commit 5 days a week to a set time. They need to have some flexibility, and
Mm-hmm.
and we're happy with what we were able to create here.
Awesome. Yeah. So it sounds like there's a little bit of flexibility. You've got a structured program, but what I'm hearing is that there are opportunities for some personalization as well, based on the person's lifestyle and what they can handle at that time.
Absolutely. So the
Yeah.
biggest commitment is week 1 of 4, and that's
Mm-hmm.
because you are required to come in. But it's super important because that's 15 hours that week where we really dive into not only getting to know the client and their entire background and all the external and intrinsic factors that could be contributing to whatever issues they're having, but as well, it really
Mm-hmm.
allows our clinicians to see how they're reacting to certain treatments, what's working, what's not, and get that live feedback. And
Mm-hmm.
through trial and error, we figured that 15 hours was a strong enough of a benchmark where we were comfortable then shifting the remaining 3 weeks to primarily be virtually from home and as well autonomous on their end, because our clinicians are able to provide oversight and guidance after that first week, with the comfort of knowing that we spent so much time with you that we have an understanding of who you are. There's still some schedule things every day, whether it's with the occupational therapist or the kinesiologist. But again, that might be a 45 or a 60-minute chunk, and that would be pre-planned. And the rest would be autonomous and on your own time, whether that's early in the morning or late at night.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And I think that's really important too, is that empowerment really, because that's where the transformation happens. And I see it with my clients all the time because, you need to own your own journey. And if they can do that, and as they're educated, they have the tools, and then they can go off on their own, I think the results are that much stronger. And it sounds like you've done a great job of creating that for them. Still somebody that they can touch base with, but they can run with it at the same time and it's still
Abs-
measurable. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like anything, whether it's treatment, whether, even if it's going to the gym, you need to buy in yourself to get the
Hmm.
best results. Just showing up somewhere because you have an appointment and then going back and not giving it another thought until your next appointment, you don't get results that way. So a lot of evidence proves that sentiment, which is why the bulk of this program is the client. It's as effective as the client wants it to be. So if they're totally
Hmm.
bought in and they're doing everything that they're expected to on their own, and then attending their check-ins and whatnot, then they're going to get great results with this.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think really with the understanding as well that our brains can adapt. We can form new neurons. And that really is what this program is about, is neuroplasticity, retraining the brain. So, once I think a client understands that, they're going to continue those repetitive habits and lifestyle changes to really come out successful. So that's super exciting. Yeah. Great. So we're talking 4 weeks here, maybe high level you can, and this is part 2. And I don't think we mentioned, part 1 of part 2. I don't think we mentioned that today we're just giving you all a high level of what the folks at Surrey Neuroplasticity are doing with these Cog Camps. And then part 2, we're going to bring in the lovely Melissa, she's the occupational therapist. She's pretty involved in the Cog Camps to give us a bit more detail about what they're doing on a week-to-week basis. So if you were to give sort of a high level of some of the components that are in each week, maybe we can talk about that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So the components are going to carry over from week to week, but there's really 3 primary things that we focus on. So there is a mindfulness and movement component to this, and that's because the brain and body are interconnected. There's growing amounts of evidence that says movement and exercise and getting your heart rate up has immense impact on the brain and the neurons. So we do incorporate that. And then the other components are mostly just the cognitive conditioning part. So one of the technologies we use is called BrainHQ. And it's super awesome technology. And, you might have heard of a guy named Tom Brady just won the Super Bowl. He uses it religiously, and he's very open about how much it's helped him. So the occupational therapist really works with the client using BrainHQ, as well as other traditional OT methods to work on things like attention, memory, focus, even working on things like how to keep your stress levels down when pressure is mounting or deadlines are approaching. So there's a really cool tie-in to the busy professional that might be looking into improving some of their cognition. So I have an example here where what a day might look like. So you would start off. This is the first week when you're with us. So, in the morning, you would start off with about a half hour with a kinesiologist, or you're setting your goals for the day. What are you looking to accomplish? Going through some functional movement, opening up those, the blood flow and oxygen pathways in your body. And then you'll spend the next hour or so with the occupational therapist, and you're going to work on cognitive conditioning. So that could be using the BrainHQ technology. I'm going to work on mindfulness. So that's more of a conversation with the occupational therapist, and learning different breathing techniques, and learning how to be self-aware, but also how to turn off the brain, so to speak, for a little bit. And, when you need to refocus, how to do it properly. Because a lot of times people will say, I need to take 5 minutes and refocus. And then they'll just go to a different part of their house or the office, but they're still just thinking about the work they have to do. They're not actually getting that reset.
Yes.
And then there's an hour break in there. So in our clinic, we have what are called quiet rooms. I go in there sometimes because the most comfiest lazy boys are in there. And
nice.
They're rooms with no windows, nice dim lighting, relaxing lighting, and you just go there and just relax. You can read a book. If you want, you can be on your phone. We don't take them away, but we don't recommend that. Or you can just take a nap or work through your breathing. And then you come back and you repeat the morning, essentially, in the sense that you start with a kinesiologist for about 30 minutes working on movement. And then you work with the occupational therapist again. And the afternoon session differs a little bit in that the last half of your time with the OT in the afternoon, you really focus on setting your autonomous exercises to do at home, and how the ability to ask any questions a client might have. And so we would repeat that for 5 days. And then weeks 2, 3, and 4 are at home. And really, it's just one 45 minutes to 1 hour per day that the client needs to make themselves available to check in with the occupational therapist. It's not a set time, so it's not every day at 2 p.m. you have to be available. There is flexibility in that, which is great. And then the other 2 hours or 1.5 hours of work that you're going to be doing on your own, whether it's doing some of the mindfulness and movement techniques that the kinesiologist taught you, whether you're going to be logging on to BrainHQ from home, because we do get you a subscription, and work on some of those strategies at home, or whether it's, journaling. That might be one of the techniques the OT wants to use. Whatever it is, that's where that flexibility is. You can get all that done early in the morning before the kids wake up and the day starts, or you can do it late at night when things get quiet. So that's really cool. And like you mentioned, that runs for about 4 weeks. And there's a week before where there's some assessments, and there's a week after where we do some discharge assessments. And then we really look at, how did you improve? How are you feeling? We review their pre-program and post-program assessments with them and give them raw data as well. And then really it's up to the client, if they want to do another 4 weeks, perhaps they've made significant improvements and they might want to carry on with neurofeedback, or they might just want to extend their BrainHQ subscription and work on that from home. But we find that 4 week mark is a really sweet spot, and people are going to notice, hey, I'm a little less fatigued. Hey, I'm able to relax more, or, I don't have 500 tabs open on my browser anymore. I can really focus. So yeah, it's really cool.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love that they can measure it too by week 4. I think that's super important.
Yeah.
BrainHQ is great. I really love that you guys are using BrainHQ. It's one of my favorites. Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. And then we tie that in with NeuroCatch as well, right? So we do the NeuroCatch scan before the program and after the program. So we can physically see how has the brain changed, which it will have. And that's the really neat part as well. And again, that's something no one else can offer, because that's our device.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. And then, so what about people that are having, maybe they have balance issues, there's vestibular balance issues and things like that. It sounds to me like your kinesiologists are pretty in tune with customizing some of those movement programs as well to each person.
So one of the assessments we do before beginning the program is the NeuroCom sensory organization test. So that's the big machine that we're the only ones in BC that have it. And it's posturography. So it tells you which parts of your balance are off and what parts of your central nervous system are contributing to that. And this thing picks up like millimeters and change. If you sway even slightly to the left or to the right, it will pick up on it, and that's generated in the report. So there's growing amounts of evidence as well. And in part 2, Melissa can talk much more in detail about this, but balance is correlated to cognitive performance. So based on what the SOT says, as well as a couple of the other tests that the kinesiologist will do in the assessment, some of that, as you mentioned, those movement patterns and working on addressing those deficits are definitely going to be part of the program as well.
So key. I've heard clients say before, oh, my balance is fine. And then, they go and get tested and they're quite surprised, but it all, you want your balance correct for neuroplasticity and all of these things. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What was that machine called again?
It's called the NeuroCom. NEUROCOM. It's a sensory organization test. So we did some clinical trials with the US military a few years back, and used this machine, and then they donated it to us. So we're the only place in BC you can access it, actually. And it's super awesome. Next time you're in, we'll put you through it. We everyone at the clinic has done it, and we're trying to see who has the highest score.
Oh wow!
It's hard. It tests against so there's a bunch of different environments it'll test against. So eyes closed versus eyes opened. It'll have a motion sensitivity wall as well. So seeing how your body reacts to that. It's got pivots. How much balance can you hold when you're off a little bit? And again, all those things are they all come together and play a role.
Yeah.
Having cognitive deficits could mean it could be due to maybe reduced oxygen. And that's also going
Yes.
to have you
Yeah.
become lightheaded, and that results in
Mm-hmm.
a balance problem. And you sometimes
Mm-hmm.
might not think of addressing that until you see, oh, like my balance is really off. Why is
Yeah.
that?
Yes. Yeah. Very often undiagnosed saturation levels. Absolutely. Yeah.
Totally.
That's wonderful. It sounds like you're covering everything. Um, Excellent. So what else? What else haven't we covered here? We talked about mindfulness. So mindfulness, I love that topic. I think,
Yeah.
it's one of the things that often gets missed in a day. We can be taking our supplements, we can focus on diet and movement, but if we're not taking those times of mindfulness, it can be a missing key component of our wellness journey. So this is, typically, I like to have clients do mindfulness before bed, just to wind down the brain, shut off all those files before bed. What have you found to be most effective throughout the
Yeah.
day? Mm-hmm.
So for us, the reason you start with a kinesiologist and a lot of them, some of the mindfulness stuff, such as going through different yoga techniques as well, before you work with the occupational therapist, is to get get your brain warmed up a little bit, but also
Mm-hmm.
reduce what you're thinking about those stresses, so that when you go into your session with the OT, you're absorbing everything much more, and the sessions
Mm-hmm.
become a much more efficient. We equate it to when you go to the gym, you just don't load up as much weight as you can and start pushing away. You
Right.
do a warm up. The body parts that you're going to work, you get them mobilized, you make sure blood flow and
Mm-hmm.
oxygen is coming and that they're primed, so that the
Yeah.
movements that you do with weight, you're going to get the max benefit out of it. So you'll work with the kinesiologist on breathing techniques, different yoga practices, and other mindfulness techniques that they may use, and get your brain in an optimal state to
Mm-hmm.
really be open to neuroplasticity, because the work the OT is going to do is all about rewiring your brain, having neurons firing in patterns that
Mm-hmm.
need to be firing in, and essentially recreating or optimizing pathways that may be inefficient presently. So yeah, prepping the brain for all that just makes those sessions much more worthwhile. But part of the autonomy homework at home is also to, whether it's just 5 minutes of your breathing techniques before bed,
Mm-hmm.
as you mentioned, shut everything down, let the
Mm-hmm.
brain rest, and then you wake up the next day feeling ready to go.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Turn off some of the noise from the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, too often you're trying to fall asleep and you're already thinking about what do I have to do tomorrow.
Yes, very,
Yeah,
very true. And that's where the journaling helps as well, is just sort of
totally.
unload what's on the brain, write it down, and put it aside for the day. Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the big
Mm-hmm.
things that we find with journaling, or why it's super effective, is a symptom that gets reported often is people get headaches when they're stressed, or they start
Mm-hmm.
noticing that they recently developed headaches. And we can find things, our kinesiologist can do testing on muscle spasticity and tension as well. But also the journaling will show us, okay, well, I was really worrying about this deadline all night and I got two
Mm-hmm.
hours of sleep. And then that's a pattern
Right.
for a week straight. So, well,
Yeah.
of course you're going to get a headache. You've had no time to
Mm-hmm.
rest.
Yeah, yeah, really good indicator. Really great when you can track sleep as well, especially going through this program. I can see the benefits to that, the days it's working. What day did you get your REM and your deep sleep? How effective were you in
Yeah.
clinic and all the rest of it? Yeah, and that's really good to have those trackers as well. So wonderful. Well, I think we've done a great job of covering a lot of the basics anyway of CogCamp. And is there anything else that you would add today, Balraj? I know we have part two coming up, which will be quite exciting, and we'll hear more from Melissa, who's really hands-on with the program as well, and see it from her side as well.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, I think part two will be awesome, just because she'll be able to talk a lot more in depth about some of the things we touched on today. But
Yeah,
no, my leaving thoughts would just be that, the program is designed to be equally as effective for, whether you've been injured or you have a chronic condition that's
mm-hmm.
impacted your cognition, or you are just someone that wants to improve. Whether you're a busy professional, whether you're a parent, whether you just noticed that, hey, in the last couple of years, my memory is a little, weaker than I remember it, or, I find that I'm going to bed a lot earlier because I'm just so fatigued at like 8 p.m. The technology and the evidence-based practices that we use, it will help you regardless of your background.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I love about the program. So I will certainly be sending some people your way, and
Awesome.
getting their feedback. I think there's a lot of people that could just benefit right now. And I don't think we quite realize just how detrimental the stress is to our brains, and especially in these times right now. So great timing to have introduced this Cog Camp. And I'm excited to see what comes out of it. Excellent. So should we just wrap up for now then, unless there's any other questions, and carry it forward to part 2?
Yeah, no, I'm happy on my end unless you have any other questions.
No, I think that was great. It was a high level, and we can dig in more the next time around. So thank you, Balraj, for coming on today. And I think the listeners have really enjoyed it, and they'll be looking forward to more.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and I look forward to chatting soon.
Excellent. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well.
We avoided your delivery.
I know.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.